Radio Rahim here with Tony Sims. We are in Accra, Ghana. I very seldom get a chance to talk to you, so who would have thought the time that we obviously get to sit down here, we're going to be on the continent of Africa. What an incredible show last night. I'm going to start there because that's what's most fresh on our minds. First of all, have you been to Ghana before?
Never, no, it's first time.
How'd you find it?
Well, look, they've been very welcoming, the Ghanaian people. They've really looked after us. They've welcomed us here. It is a crazy place. It's like a place that I've never kind of been able to sort of be in this position before, where just everything's just everywhere. And it's been a great week to experience, but it's also been quite a tough week as well.
Indeed. Tough how for you?
Just like with the training conditions, we've been training outside the hotel to try and get, because we obviously knew we was fighting outside in the stadium, so we trained just here every night on the pads.
Just outside in front?
Just outside
in the parking lot?
Yeah, in the parking lot.
Wow.
Because I didn't want him to go to a gym. I wanted him to try and get prepared for the fight and the conditions. Because as you knew, you was at the show. It was very, very humid, and when you're in the ring as well with the lights, it was tough conditions to fight in when you're not really used to that sort of environment. So we kind of trained outside every night on the pads and just tried to get the best prepared as we could, run in the mornings outside of here, which was a bit crazy with the Ghanaian people outside. It was a bit crazy, but we, as I say, it was a lovely welcome here, and we enjoyed the experience here. But it was an experience.
He's running out here like Ali in the Congo, people in the streets cheering him.
It was.
Craig Boombaye.
Yeah, and it was unexpected, to be honest, because we sort of come outside the gates, turn right, and we run straight into a marketplace, and it was like packed.
Yeah.
And we just didn't know really what to expect, but it's been great.
It's interesting that you bring up the atmosphere and the weather, because it's a conversation I had earlier today. I believe Spencer Fearon brought up just how humid it was and how this seemed like a fight of two halves. The first half, it looked like Dan was at least able to do what he wanted to do, in and out, popping the jab and such. But it was that Richard was able to turn up the gears for the second half and was comfortable in the atmosphere with the humidity and the heat and such, which probably is down to that expertise training of yours. How did you see the fight going? Was there a moment when Richards kind of switched the gears up and Dan couldn't stay with him?
I just felt it was always going to be a long fight for Craig, this fight. I felt Dan's a very strong fighter, and he uses his physical size to come inside you and work hard. So it was always about, and the game plan was always about the last 12 weeks that we've trained for, is about keeping Craig's distance light on his feet, using peppering with a jab. Try to keep making Dan work hard to get inside, but keep making him miss. And as you know, by making someone miss a lot, they get tired over the course of a 12-round fight. And that was always the aim, to do that and then come on later on into the fight. And obviously use Craig's experience, and also he's heavy-handed when he lands punches as well. So the more the fight went on for us, the more Craig was going to come into it and start landing his heavy shots. And obviously where Craig's fitness is a high peak as well, we always felt that he would start coming into it big time in the second half of the fight.
Now, I have to confess, by the time the 12th round came along and I saw so many people in the stands, tens of thousands of people out there, and all I'm thinking about is the traffic in Ghana I've been experiencing all week, and how am I going to get out of this stadium? I start packing up, getting my camera guy, like, yo, we got to make it for the door, man. We don't want to be caught in this jam. And just as we're about to sprint out and be the first out of the stadium, boom, highlight reel style knockout comes.
Yeah.
Did you see that coming? Were you setting that knockout up? I mean, to be fair, I was shocked by it.
Yeah, you can't really set a knockout up, but I felt like Craig was pushing on in the later rounds, and I felt like he still had a lot in his tank. Because when he sat down in the corner, I still felt like he had a lot. And I said to him, like, kind of, Dan looks really, really tired, and you need to jump on him now and get the job finished. And he did do that.
The big.
Sorry about it. He just answered that, please.
The reason I say setting it up is because maybe the appropriate way to put that is maybe setting traps, and Dan finally fell into that trap because it was the left hook, and it was Craig having success with the left hook throughout the fight. Again, I think in the second half, even more success. It was landing more crisp, and in the 12th round, I mean, final minute, what a great way to end the show.
Yeah.
He just walked right onto it. The power that Craig had late, maybe it was something people wouldn't have expected.
Yeah.
How did you get him to a place where he had finishing power like that in the last minute of the 12th round in the heat, nonetheless?
Well, I think everything that we worked on in the gym was all combination punching. So even though he started the first half of the fight single punching, it was always the plan to step it up to combinations. And when you're throwing combinations, if you're missing with the first 2 shots, if you're throwing 3s and 4s, some of them are going to connect. And as I say, Craig's very heavy-handed anyway. So when he started to put his punches in combinations, he was always going to chance he was going to get 1 or 2 home. And I think, like, in some of the later rounds, he was hurting him with the 3rd shot to the body as well. When he was throwing like a 1-2 and crunching it into the body, you can kind of see that he was hurting Dan. And that obviously takes a lot out of you as well. So where he started to put his punches together, there was always that chance of catching Dan. And thank God Dan was all right, because, listen, Dan's a great guy. I know him really well, and he's a great athlete, and he put in a tremendous fight there as well. And I thank God that he was well and could walk out of that arena.
Yeah, it was that kind of knockout where you have to take a minute and everybody just like holds on to their breath, hoping that we can see him sit up and be well. And in fact, he was. So thank God for that. I must say, one of the signatures maybe of Tony Sims now is just going to be fighters stopping guys late, or these 12th round massive shots landing. I've got to take you back because we don't get a chance to talk that much. Conor Benn almost finishing. Chris Eubank in the 12th, coming on shots like this. There's been a lot of discussion after that fight, though, as to where Conor goes next, what that fight really means for him as the victory in the rematch. So first being, there's so much discussion. Where would you, as a trainer, like to see Ben compete next? Who do you have in the crosshairs, if it was just up to you?
Well, obviously we're hearing Ryan Garcia's fighting Mario Barrios for the WBC title. I believe that's going to be in February time. And obviously Conor Benn's mandatory, so he will fight the winner of that fight. So whoever wins that fight, he will fight the winner. So that's where he's heading now. Obviously, he's got to come down to 147, which he's on that already. He's started his long running, and he'll get down to 147 pretty well. Obviously, he's been fighting up at 160, but we know that's not his weight, and we know that's not his weight division. He makes 154 comfortably, so it's just about pushing down to that other 7 pounds. So I think that that's where we'll be looking at next.
And see, I asked because while you say, and in fact, he is the mandatory post-fight, Eddie got into it with Bill Haney, and Ben had his words about Devin. They seem to have wanted that fight for a bit. Like, what do you think he matches up best?
With who?
Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia.
I think the Garcia fight's a great fight, and as I say, he's mandatory for that. He wants to win the WBC title because his father held that title for many years. So that's his next step, and you've got to really favour Garcia to beat Barrios, really. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the fight, but you've got to fancy Garcia to win that fight. And as I say, Conor's mandatory for that title, so we're kind of heading or looking towards that fight now.
I imagine if all this happens the way you imagine it, and Ryan comes through, and then Ben comes through and beats Ryan, that's why I say I think Haney will be in the offing right after that. They'll be looking to unify and make that 147 division one that Ben can potentially be king of. Do you see that as what you're pursuing, like undisputed at 47?
Yeah, sure. I mean, once like, you know, Conor gets that opportunity to win that title, then obviously the next steps are trying to unify. And I'm hearing Devin Haney might take the Lewis Crocker fight to unify them 2 titles.
Exactly.
So the winner of that can obviously fight the winner of Conor Benn Garcia, and that's how we're going to try and pan the year out. That's obviously the hopes and the wishes, but with boxing, you never know what's going to happen, you know.
How do you see that Haney-Crocker matchup?
Good fight. Listen, Crocker's a good fighter, and we see against Paddy Donovan the first fight, him change his tactics for the second fight, which goes to show that he's not just a puncher or a brawler, he can box as well. So that's an interesting fight. Devin Haney's obviously boxed at a very high level, boxed most of the top fighters around his weight division. So, you know, that's a good fight. And the welterweight division's like booming at the moment with some good names. Yeah,
well, just below the welterweight division at 140, we've got a cracker of a fight coming in January 31st. Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. I mean, that's a fight fans fight right there.
Yeah.
Do you have a dog in that hunt? Who do you see coming through?
That's a tough one, that's definitely a 50-50 fight. I'm going to sway towards Lopez a little bit because I think just because he's the bigger man, really. And I'm just going to sway just slightly towards him.
I was surprised, and I got some stick for saying I was surprised that Shakur came out as the favorite with the Vegas betting odds.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously the fans were, oh, of course he is, and all of this. But to your point, I thought Lopez, even if you're picking Shakur to win, I still think Lopez is like the odds-on favorite. If you're advising Shakur, for instance, in this fight, I said that he'd have to make it boring, do his thing, don't worry about the fans, don't worry about performing, entertaining. How do you think he finds a road to victory if you're picking Lopez simply, or at least by the weight and size?
I just think that, you know, the pressure, if you pressure Shakur and you are the bigger man, and he is heavy-handed, Lopez, he is an heavy-handed fighter. You know, obviously his footwork, Shakur's footwork is second to none. But you gotta cut him off. You gotta cut him off and close him down and push him back to the ropes. And if you can do that, you know, there is a chance for Lopez to get on top of him. He's smart enough to do that as well.
Yeah, and what would Shakur do to win this fight?
Shakur do what he always does. You know, his footwork. His footwork and balance are brilliant, you know, and he spears the jab in, and you know he puts his punches together well. He's not a massive hitter, so that might come into this fight where he's not, you know, I don't think he's a big enough puncher to actually, you know, stop Teofimo in his tracks. So we'll see. It's a great fight, though. It's a great matchup.
Well, we were at the same stadium last night watching what I think is the best fight of the weekend. However, it must be said that a lot of people's attention have been distracted the night before. I got up about 3 or 4 in the morning to watch Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. Surely you must have seen, or at least the highlights by now.
I watched the highlights, yeah. I watched, obviously, the knockout and watched the highlights. From what I read, it just seemed like Jake Paul was in survival mode. And that's what I read, but obviously we all expected AJ to knock him out in the first or second round. So, listen, fair play to Jake Paul to get in there, you know. But I think he kind of probably found out what real boxing's about. I hear he's got his jaw broken 2 places, and you know, as AJ said, it's like a little warm up for his fight, supposedly against Tyson Fury.
Do you take anything away from how long Jake was able to survive? Is there something that Joshua needs to look at? Just the fact that this thing did go 6 rounds?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a surprise to everyone that it went 6 rounds. As I say, I've not watched the fight, so I don't know. I'm only going on what I've read. But I don't know, sometimes if someone's only just in there to survive and hold, it does get difficult to try and put someone away. But obviously they're not there to win any rounds, so it's this difficult one.
Broke his jaw in 2 places, definitely got his hand raised at the end. But in the post-fight press conference, Eddie Hearn seems to be dismissing the February fight that we all thought was coming in Saudi. And it's been speculated by Derek Chisora, in fact, that this fight isn't happening or potentially going to be taken off the table because they don't want Joshua in there taking any chances now that could disrupt what happens with Fury later. As if maybe what we saw against Paul is making them a little gun shy about any competition ahead of that fight. Do you think that's potentially true? Like, has this fight at least given Joshua and the team pause about doing anything before
Well,
Tyson
I heard
Fury?
the February fight just going to be a warm-up fight for
Yeah.
So he's had his warm-up. In reality, you don't really need to have another one. So maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't really know. So I don't think it'd be anything to do with him being gun shy. He's probably just going to have a limber up with somebody anyway. So he's done that. So there's no need for him to do that again.
What is it, if anything, how does it help your analysis of what ultimately happens when he gets in the ring with Tyson Fury? How's your pick go? I mean, Tyson's been out of the ring for a while. This
Yeah.
is Joshua's first fight in over a year.
Yeah.
If they fight each other next, what do you see happening?
Well, obviously, we wanted this fight, over the last few years. We wanted to watch this fight, and obviously the fight would have been a lot more spoken about, and like people would have probably looked forward to it more when they was in their prime. We all know they both ain't in their prime at this stage of their careers, but it's still a massive fight, and it's a massive fight for Britain especially. And everyone's been wanting to see this fight. How do I think it's going to go? I think it's another 50-50 fight. Obviously, Fury's he's a smart boxer. He's good with the feints, and defensively he's very clever. And AJ, whatever way you look at it, he's heavy-handed. He's a big puncher, And so there could be any scenario going to happen in this fight. I really couldn't say who was going to win the fight.
Not leaning one way or the other?
Probably just lean slightly to Joshua because I used to coach him, so he's obviously a good friend of mine. So I'm going to go with Joshua, obviously, but it's a great fight.
Now, I know you don't work for free, neither do I, but if you were to give Joshua a bit of advice about how to best Fury, knowing him so well, Anthony Joshua, what would you think his main weapon would be that Fury'd have difficulty with?
Obviously, his right hand is a right hand. He's like, I know how hard he punches with that shot. So, again, you'd need to close him in a little bit, Tyson, to lead him up to landing that shot. And if Joshua catches anyone with that shot, it's lights out. So, Tyson's obviously got to be wary about that. And but then Joshua's got to get himself in the position to land it. So it's a very interesting fight.
You've got your own horse, if you will, in the race of the heavyweight championship. Now that Usyk has vacated and Fabio Wardley's been elevated, a lot of people are talking about what a beautiful potential matchup we could see with Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley. Do you think that that's as exciting a matchup as a lot of the fans do?
Oh, 100%. That's a great fight because they're both punchers. And what people want to see in the heavyweight division is a puncher's fight. And, because when we go to watch heavyweight fights, we don't want to see the fights go to points. We want to see knockouts. And them two bring that to the table without a shadow of a doubt. They're both big, big punchers. And that's a big matchup for Britain, WBO title on the line. And that's a big matchup. And I just really hope that fight can get made.
In preparation for a fight like that with Daniel Dubois, I mean, coming off a loss, coming off a stoppage, there's a lot that goes into it, not just physically but mentally. How would you get him ready, and where do you think his mental is right now after that Usyk rematch?
He seems fine in himself. Obviously, he's been with me for about 4 months now, training in the gym, awaiting a date. But he seems fine in himself. He's asking for them fights. You know, like he's saying, like, I really want to fight Wardley. He wants to fight anybody, to be honest. And he just wants to get back in there. And, you know, he's still young. He's only 27 years of age, so he's still in his prime as an heavyweight. And he's, you know, he's raring to go, really. I just hope that the Wardley fight can get made and he can get cracking into a full camp.
Do you not feel that you need, just being a new trainer with him, and so much is on the line, if you can keep your position in the heavyweight division, there's world title opportunities, Wardley being one of them, that you might need a rep with him and being in his corner to make sure you guys are gelling and the fight game plan that you put together he's able to execute and such, or you want to go right into the fire heavyweight championship title fight?
I think where he's been with me 4 months now, time the fight comes around, maybe another 3 or 4 months. Like, he's been with me a long time. So we've done a lot of work together already, on technical work together. So I think he'll be fine. He's got to know me. I've known him for quite a long time, actually. I knew him from the AJ days when AJ used to spy him on Team GB. So I've known him quite a long time. And so we're gelling together well. And as you say, like, in the ideal world, you sometimes would like a little warm-up fight, but in reality, who's he really going to fight? Because he's all, if you look at his last fights, they're all big names, all big fights. So, you know, if he doesn't fight Wardley, he's got to fight another big name. So, you know, the Wardley fight really is the fight I'd like to see him against. And listen, Wardley's had a couple of good wins. He's you know, he's behind on points against Justice Honey, and he knocked him out late. And he was behind on points with Joseph Parker, and he knocked him out late, which shows that, you know, he's got a lot of ambition and he's young himself. But Joseph Parker and Justice Honey don't punch like Daniel Dubois. And if Daniel Dubois is hitting you with them kind of shots, you're not standing there and coming back late. So that's a big factor as well, where we're very interested in that fight.
And lastly, on Dubois, he actually has had, obviously, multiple trainers at this stage and good success. Granted, he got stopped by Usyk, but Usyk's beaten everyone 2 times. And so that's not like he had a tragic loss to a lesser fighter, or, you know, he was on a roll there. And so the question begs, what is it that you saw or feel needs to be improved, or where do you work with Dubois on spots that he can improve? What are you bringing to the table that he needs? I mean, I don't know if you feel like there's anything he could have done to beat Usyk. Most people don't. I don't. But what does Tony Sims bring to the Daniel Dubois package that he didn't have when he walked into your gym?
Just probably experience, really. You know, I'll probably bring a lot of experience to the table. I obviously trained AJ before in the past, and I've obviously produced quite a lot of world champions. So it's like little things that he may be able to improve. It might be just a lot of experience, really, that he needs. And all the trainers that he's been with have been great trainers and done a great job with him. But I bring experience probably more than any of them that he's been with. So, you know, that's might be maybe a reason that what he's looking for, maybe.
If we do get that fight in 2026, Dubois-Wardley, which I think we will, how do you see that ending?
I think it's a great fight. You know, as I say, they're both punchers. I just don't know whether Fabio can hold up to the punches that Dubois will be delivering, especially early doors. It's one thing holding up with Parker and Honey, but it's another thing holding up against Dubois.
I'm hearing Dubois by early knockout.
Maybe.
Radio Rahim with Tony Sims in Accra, Ghana. What a pleasure, man, to have a chat with you. It's a beautiful country to be in. Congratulations on the win last night. We'll
Thanks
talk to you
for
again in
having
the UK.
God bless.
God bless.